ladies and gentlemen. There is a divine mystery in the way life unfolds, especially in the realm of love. We often believe that finding a soulmate is a task we must accomplish ourselves, as if love is a puzzle we must piece together. But the truth is, God is the ultimate matchmaker. His ways are higher than ours, and often he introduces us to the person meant for us in ways we least expect. Today, let us explore 3 profound ways in which God brings 2 hearts together, often without them realizing it in the moment. In the journey of love and companionship, one of the greatest struggles people face is timing. We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification, fast communication, quick decisions, and immediate results. However, when it comes to matters of the heart, God's timeline does not always align with human expectations. Many people grow impatient, believing they should have already met their soulmate by a certain age or stage in life. But divine timing operates on a different principle: preparation over speed, purpose over impulse, and fulfillment over fleeting emotions. God's timing is never rushed, and it is never late. Every season of our lives serves a purpose, whether we recognize it at the moment or not. Often when we feel delayed, God is actually working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, refining our character, and preparing both us and our future partner for the kind of relationship that will last. It is easy to grow frustrated and ask, why haven't I met the one yet? But the better question is, what is God preparing me for in this season? What seems like a delay to us is, in reality, divine orchestration. Many people rush into relationships because they fear being alone, but a relationship formed out of impatience often leads to disappointment. When we try to force something before it's time, we risk stepping outside of God's perfect plan. Instead of settling for what is available, we should trust that God's best is worth the wait. Consider how nature operates. Each season comes in its appointed time. You cannot force a flower to bloom before it is ready, and you cannot rush the sunrise. In the same way, God does not introduce you to your soulmate until both of you are ready to fulfill the purpose He has designed for your union. If you meet the right person at the wrong time, the relationship may not succeed. But when the right person enters your life, at the right time, everything falls into place with clarity and peace. Many people mistake their season of singleness as a punishment. They wonder if they are not good enough, if they have done something wrong, or if God has forgotten about them. But this is a misunderstanding of divine preparation. God does not withhold blessings. He builds the foundation necessary to sustain them. Before meeting your soulmate, you are placed in a season of personal development. This is a time to grow, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Instead of seeing it as a waiting period, view it as a training ground. Just as a builder ensures that a house has a strong foundation before constructing its walls, God strengthens your character, deepens your faith, and teaches you the lessons you need for a lasting relationship. Many relationships fail not because the people involved are wrong for each other, but because they enter into a commitment without the maturity, patience, or wisdom required to nurture it. God, in His infinite wisdom, ensures that before you step into a lifelong partnership, you have developed the qualities needed to sustain love. One of the most difficult things for people to do is surrender control. We want to dictate how and when love will arrive, but surrendering to God's timing does not mean doing nothing. It means trusting that He is leading you, even when you cannot see the full picture. Sometimes the delay is necessary because we are not yet ready to recognize or appreciate the person God has for us. If we are too focused on our own timeline, we might overlook the very person God is placing in our lives. However, when we trust His timing, we open ourselves to the possibility of a love that is not rushed, but deeply rooted in divine purpose. So instead of asking, when will I meet my soulmate? Ask, how is God shaping me to be the best version of myself. When we embrace his timing, we step into relationships that are not only fulfilling, but also aligned with his greater plan for our lives. Love stories are often imagined as grand, dramatic encounters, two people locking eyes across a crowded room, an instant and undeniable spark, or a perfectly orchestrated moment that feels straight out of a movie. While these scenarios make for compelling narratives, real-life divine connections rarely happen in such predictable ways. God, in his infinite wisdom, often introduces people to their soulmates through the most ordinary, unassuming, and even unexpected encounters. It is easy to believe that love must arrive with fireworks, but more often than not, it begins in the quiet and subtle movements of everyday life. A casual acquaintance, a workplace colleague, a childhood friend, or even someone we initially overlook can turn out to be the person God has intricately placed in our path. The challenge is not whether God introduces us to our soulmate, it is whether we have the spiritual awareness to recognize his hand at work. God does not always use grand gestures to bring two people together. Instead, he often works through simple, everyday interactions. Many people expect love to enter their lives with overwhelming certainty, but the truth is that some of the most meaningful relationships begin in the most unassuming ways. Consider how friendships develop through repeated interactions, small moments of connection, and gradual trust building. The same principle applies to soulmates. The person who is meant for you may not immediately seem like a romantic partner, but over time, a deep and unshakable bond forms. Some of the strongest relationships are built on a foundation of friendship, shared values, and mutual respect. Elements that often emerge in unexpected places. Think about the people in your life who have been a source of encouragement, support, and understanding. Could it be that God is preparing your heart to see someone in a new light? Often, the person he has chosen for us has been within our reach all along. But it takes divine timing and personal growth for us to truly recognize their significance. God does not operate through coincidence. He operates through divine orchestration. Sometimes the circumstances that seem random or insignificant are actually carefully woven into the fabric of his plan. An unexpected job opportunity, a move to a different city, an introduction through a mutual friend. These events may seem like chance occurrences, but they can be the very means by which God aligns two lives. Consider the countless stories of couples who met because of a last-minute decision, an unplanned event, or an encounter that seemed purely accidental at the time. Looking back, they often realize that had one small detail been different, they might never have met. This is not luck, it is the work of a God who is deeply involved in the details of our lives. Sometimes God allows detours and delays, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to position us in the right place at the right time. What feels like an inconvenience may actually be a divine setup. The key is to remain open to the people we meet and the relationships that naturally develop, even if they do not fit our initial expectations. One of the biggest reasons people fail to recognize their soulmate is because they are too attached to their own idea of what that person should look like, act like, or how they should enter their lives. Many have a mental checklist of qualities they believe their partner must possess, and if someone does not fit that mold immediately, they dismiss the possibility of a deeper connection. However, God's plan does not conform to human expectations. The person he has for you may not arrive in the way you imagined, and they may not fit the checklist you created. But they will be exactly who you need. The more we let go of rigid ideas about love, the more we allow God to surprise us with something far greater than we could have planned for ourselves. Being open to unexpected connections does not mean lowering standards. It means expanding our awareness. It means being willing to see beyond first impressions, beyond societal pressures, and beyond superficial preferences, to recognize the depth of character, faith, and compatibility that truly matter in a lifelong partnership. When God introduces you to your soulmate, there is often no immediate dramatic realization. Instead, there is a steady, growing sense of peace and alignment. The relationship may begin in a simple, unremarkable way, but over time, it becomes clear that this person was meant to be part of your life. This is why it is important to remain present in every interaction and to approach relationships with patience and discernment. Some people meet their soulmate and, because the introduction is not what they expected, they do not recognize the significance of the moment. But those who trust in God's plan and stay open to His leading often find that love was unfolding all along, right before their eyes. God's ways are not always obvious, but they are always intentional. The challenge is not to seek love in extraordinary places, but to have the wisdom to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. One of the most profound aspects of God's plan for your life is that He prepares you for the relationship you are destined to have, long before that person even enters the picture. Personal growth and spiritual preparation are not just about improving yourself for the sake of personal achievement. They are, in fact, divine prerequisites for a successful and fulfilling partnership. God's love is always holistic, meaning He desires for us to be whole and complete in Him before He introduces us to someone who will complement us. Personal growth is often misunderstood as a process that simply benefits us alone. But in reality, growth is foundational to how we show up in relationships. The more we develop into the individuals we were meant to be, the better equipped we are to engage in a healthy, loving partnership. Love, especially the kind of deep and lasting love that God intends, requires more than attraction and chemistry. It requires maturity, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and spiritual depth. Without these qualities, even the most promising relationship can face immense challenges. Before God introduces you to your soulmate, He often leads you through seasons of healing. These can be times when you confront past wounds, release old patterns, and rebuild your sense of self-worth. If you've been hurt before, whether in relationships, friendships, or family dynamics, these scars can shape how you view yourself and others. If left unaddressed, these wounds may cloud your judgment and prevent you from fully embracing the love that God intends for you. God does not want us to bring unresolved pain into a relationship, because doing so can hinder the depth of connection and growth that He desires for us. Healing is not just about recovering from past hurts. It's about learning to view yourself through God's eyes. This period of restoration allows you to embrace your identity as beloved and whole, which is crucial when preparing for a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and unconditional love. When you allow God to heal your heart, He does not simply remove pain. He transforms it into strength. You become more compassionate, more understanding, and more capable of loving in a healthy way. As you heal, you also become more attuned to your own needs, desires, and boundaries, which are essential when entering a relationship where mutual respect is key. In addition to emotional and personal healing, God often uses seasons of singleness to draw you closer to Him. This is a time to deepen your faith, develop a stronger prayer life, and cultivate a relationship with God that can serve as the foundation for all your relationships, including romantic ones. The Bible speaks of the importance of seeking first the kingdom of God, and there is no better time to do so than when you are waiting for your soulmate. As you grow spiritually, God prepares you for a relationship that aligns with His purpose for your life. This growth is not just for your benefit. It is for the benefit of the relationship itself. When you are spiritually grounded, you are better able to navigate the challenges that come with any relationship. You can rely on your faith to guide you through difficult moments, and you will know how to love unconditionally, as God loves us. A strong relationship with God is essential because it teaches you how to love with selflessness, humility, and patience. It also helps you understand what true love is, not based on fleeting emotions or physical attraction, but grounded in commitment, sacrifice, and the ability to see the best in one another. This is the kind of love that can only come from God's example. Emotional maturity is one of the greatest assets you can bring to a relationship. Many people enter relationships with baggage or unrealistic expectations because they have not fully developed emotional intelligence. This can lead to misunderstandings, unnecessary conflict, and an inability to communicate effectively. Before meeting your soulmate, God often takes you through a process of self-awareness and emotional growth. He helps you understand your own emotions, triggers, and needs, teaching you how to communicate openly and honestly. This is an important aspect of preparing for a healthy relationship. Emotional maturity allows you to respond to conflict with grace, to navigate differences without resentment, and to support your partner in ways that foster growth rather than create division. Personal growth also teaches you how to love yourself. You cannot truly love someone else unless you have first learned to love and respect yourself. This is not about selfishness, but about developing a healthy sense of self-worth that allows you to bring your best self to a relationship. It is about knowing that you are deserving of love, kindness, and respect, and setting the standard for how others should treat you. Lastly, personal growth requires patience. It is easy to grow frustrated when it feels like things are not happening fast enough, but God's timeline is always perfect. While you are being prepared, God is also preparing your future partner. The work He is doing in you is just as important as the work He is doing in them. This means that the more patient you are, the more you trust God's timing, the better prepared both of you will be to enter into a relationship that honors Him and thrives for the long term. During this time of preparation, you may be tempted to rush the process, to jump into a relationship before you're fully ready, or to settle for less than God's best. However, trusting God's plan requires waiting with confidence, knowing that the right person will come at the right time. When you are prepared, emotionally, spiritually, and personally, you will be in the best position to build a relationship that is not only lasting, but also deeply fulfilling. In conclusion, the preparation that God leads us through is not wasted time. It is an investment in the future, a process that ensures we are ready for the kind of love that He intends for us to experience. Through healing, growth, spiritual development, and emotional maturity, God is making us into the person we are meant to be, so that when the time comes, we can recognize and embrace the soulmate He has prepared for us. When God introduces you to your soulmate, it's not just a connection based on physical attraction or mutual interest. There's a deeper spiritual alignment that transcends anything humanly orchestrated. True love, as designed by God, is not merely about compatibility in terms of personality or circumstance, but about a profound alignment with God's divine purpose for your lives. In a world that often places emphasis on emotional chemistry and superficial connections, God's way of introducing you to your soulmate brings peace, alignment, and confirmation in ways that are often subtle, but unmistakably profound. Spiritual alignment in relationships is about more than just shared faith. It is about recognizing a partnership that resonates with God's ultimate plan for your life and your partner's life. In moments of uncertainty, God will often provide spiritual confirmation that the person standing before you is not just a companion, but a partner meant to walk with you in fulfilling his greater purpose. This alignment brings peace, a peace that settles in your heart, even when the road ahead is unclear or challenging. It is the kind of peace that assures you that God is in control and that everything is unfolding according to his perfect timing. One of the clearest signs that you are aligned with God's will is a deep sense of peace. When you meet the person God has destined for you, you may not experience an immediate, overwhelming rush of emotions, but you will notice a steady, quiet peace. This peace is not fleeting or superficial. It's a deep, unwavering assurance that this connection is right. It's not about everything being perfect. It's about knowing without a shadow of a doubt that God has led you here and is guiding you through every step of the relationship. Many times, individuals enter relationships based on intense feelings of attraction or excitement, and while these feelings are not inherently bad, they can sometimes cloud our judgment. God, however, provides a peace that surpasses understanding, an assurance that the connection is more than just temporary or driven by desire, but is grounded in something far greater, his will. This peace often grows in intensity over time, especially as you continue to trust God's guidance and walk in obedience. If you have ever experienced a season of waiting and then found someone who brought a sense of calm and clarity into your life, that is likely God confirming his will. It's important to recognize that this peace is not the absence of difficulty or challenge, but rather the assurance that no matter what comes, you are following God's path. The relationship may still go through testing, moments of growth or adjustments, but the underlying peace remains. A constant reminder that God's hand is leading you both forward. The key to understanding the spiritual alignment with your soulmate is recognizing that God brings people together for his divine purpose. Your relationship is not simply for your own happiness or fulfillment. It is meant to serve a greater purpose in the world. God does not just bring two people together for companionship. He brings them together to fulfill his will on earth. In a Christ-centered relationship, both individuals are not only growing together, but are also growing in their ability to serve others, love deeply, and reflect God's character in the world. This purpose-driven connection is often revealed in the shared goals, passions, and dreams that the couple develops together. You may find that both of you are drawn to causes or purposes that align with God's heart. Whether it's serving in your community, building a family that honors God, or doing work that advances his kingdom. When the spiritual alignment is in place, you both begin to feel the call to move forward in ways that are guided by divine purpose. You may find yourselves both deeply invested in prayer, seeking God's will for the relationship, and constantly asking how you can serve together. This is the hallmark of a partnership that is truly aligned with God. A soulmate connection is not just about mutual attraction. It's about finding someone who encourages you to grow in your faith, challenges you to become a better person, and inspires you to live out God's purpose for your life. Recognizing a soulmate through spiritual alignment often comes with a deep sense of confirmation that can be discovered through prayer, spiritual discernment, and seeking counsel from God. In times of uncertainty, you may feel God speaking to you, providing clarity and confirming the direction of the relationship. God often confirms the alignment of a relationship through multiple channels. This could be through Scripture, personal conviction, or even counsel from trusted spiritual leaders. When you seek God's wisdom in prayer, you open yourself up to his guidance, and the confirmation of his plan. You might find that God speaks to your heart directly, or he may use others to provide confirmation that this relationship is part of his divine plan. These confirmations are not always dramatic or loud, but they come in quiet moments of prayer or reflection when you sense God's presence in a profound way. Discernment is also an essential part of spiritual alignment. While emotions can be powerful, they can also be misleading. Spiritual discernment helps you evaluate the relationship with God's perspective rather than your own. It is through discernment that you come to understand whether the relationship aligns with God's truth and purpose for your life. This process requires time, patience, and a willingness to listen to God's voice above all others. When you are spiritually aligned with your soulmate, the relationship becomes a reflection of God's love in the world. It moves beyond what either of you wants or needs individually and becomes a beautiful partnership that is centered on fulfilling God's mission. In this alignment, both partners complement each other not only emotionally but spiritually, creating a bond that grows stronger as each person seeks God first in the relationship. True spiritual alignment is about walking together in God's purpose. Your connection to each other is not simply for companionship, but for service to others and for the glory of God. You begin to see each other not just as partners in life, but as partners in the work of God. This deeper connection becomes the foundation on which you build a relationship that endures through life's challenges, anchored by a shared commitment to God's will. In conclusion, the spiritual alignment between you and your soulmate is a confirmation of God's presence and purpose in your life. The peace, purpose, and discernment you feel are all signs that God is leading you toward the relationship he has designed for you. When this alignment occurs, you step into a love that is greater than anything you could have imagined on your own, a love that reflects God's heart and his eternal plan. As we reflect on the ways in which God introduces us to our soulmate, we are reminded that his plan is both intentional and perfect. The process is not always as we expect it to be, but it is always exactly what we need. Through divine timing, unexpected connections, personal growth, and spiritual alignment, God works behind the scenes, orchestrating each step in our journey to love. We are not simply passive participants in this divine plan. We are called to be active in our own growth, healing past wounds, deepening our faith, and embracing the transformation God desires for us. Only then, when we are prepared spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, will we be ready to recognize and embrace the soulmate he has placed in our lives. Furthermore, true love is not just about the emotional connection between two people. It is about walking